Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the Claim Your All-Star Charity Status presentation. It has become an issue that nonprofits need to be aware of because people are going to third-party places to check out how you're running your business. So I've got a presentation. I'm going to share my screen, and then we'll look at our pages. I want to go ahead and disclose that this is a work in progress because they changed their rules, and some have been updating. Some you're allowed to update yourself. Some they only take stuff from the IRS. So we will go through some basics and how you can get going and some stuff that we've done. And then if anybody has any questions at the end, we will go forward. All right. So we're going to cover just a little bit about charitable giving. I know we're all experts on that, but I feel like it's worth kind of just reviewing quickly what charity ratings are, why they're important, and then a few of the top ones that show up a good bit. And they were selected because even though there's a lot of organizations that say they do that, most of them get their data from the organizations we're going to look at today. So in 2019, and the report that this is from came out in February. So these are the newest numbers that I could find. Almost $450 billion in charitable giving, and it's an increase over the year before that. Corporate giving's gone up, foundation giving's gone up, individual, it's all up, which is great because there's a lot of folks that need help. But I'll show you all of this to say that there's a lot of competition, and there's a lot of dollars available, and showing that we are doing not only great service, but running our business well, I think will help us continue to grow our donor bases. And you can see human services is up 12%, and so is public society benefit organizations. They're up 13%. So our niche of, and healthcare too, our niche of nonprofit world is definitely on the rise, which is good, because unfortunately so is the need. $570 is the average individual donation, which is huge. Healthcare is $417. So why are they important? Basically, people are looking at them and they're making decisions on what they see. There's a lot of organizations that tend to kind of mirror each other with their names. So they want to make sure that the people that they're giving their money to are the people that they mean to. There's a lot of scammers. They want to make sure that you're a proper 501c3 and not some fly-by-the-night, come-and-go charity that's not really a charity. For transparency for community and the donors, they want to see how the businesses are being run. They want to see how you spend your money. It's a good way to show that you are a good steward of those donations, and people want to see measurable results. And more, and I think it's probably been true for a while, but people are being much more vocal and about having the community represented in the organizations that they give to. So that's part of the the diversity inclusion that we are all working really hard to do better at. Why it's important to us and why we think it's important to other nonprofits as an individual. It's an impartial evaluation. So you can't skew the findings. It is what it is. They get your stuff from the audit. They get your stuff from your 990. They look at your website. All of the evaluations that they make, you have no influence on other than to provide the information. So that gives some extra credibility. We want to show that we're a leader in the community. And by doing that, not only are the services that we provide and the organizations that we support, but we are doing it the best way with all of the best practices that go along with nonprofit management. And why we would like all of the partners to get a hold of their charity ratings and do the best to get them up. We think that that's a good example for the community. We can say this, the safety net that you guys are relying on and that you guys support, not only is one organization, but all of them are, or 90% are. I think that just helps strengthen our reputation in the community, and it also helps strengthen the safety net, because people are going to give to people that they give to people, but they also give to people and organizations that they trust are doing the right thing. And then I also think it shows that although we are partners, but it's another facet in that we all have a common priority of making a difference in this community and doing it the best way we can. So the big four that I'm going to look at today are Guidestar, Charity Navigator, Better Business Bureau, and Charity Watch. Again, these are the ones that folks, through my research, have shown that this is where they go. Even if they're writing for Forbes magazine or consumer review organizations, they all go back to these groups. So Guidestar is the one that we've started with because it is probably one of the easiest ones to navigate, and you have the most access to providing information. One thing though, the first thing you need to do if you're not already on Guidestar is to claim your profile, because it's there and people are looking at it. So if it's incomplete, then you may not be reflecting the good work that you're doing and with the diligence that you are doing it in. So you just go to the website, you click to update your profile, you get started. You need your EIN number, which everybody has to have to do business, so that shouldn't be too hard to get a hold of. And there's a couple of questions that come up that with your state tax designation letter. But once that's done, it takes a couple of days, and that person is approved to make edits and upload information. If you don't have a website, there's a lot more information that's required, but frankly, if you don't have a website, that's not your biggest problem. So, but there is a pathway if you're starting out and are still maybe building it or something. So they do theirs bronze, silver, gold, platinum. Bronze is basically, the old joke that if you fill your name out right on the SATs, you get a 300. Bronze is kind of like that. It's your contact information. It's how people can donate. It's your mission. It's your name. And then they are going to pull your 990 from the IRS. Silver is where you put in your programs, what they're about, what your service area is, all of your branding information, basically the stuff that lives on your website. And this stuff doesn't need to be updated unless you are, updating your logos or updating messaging. But typically, this is the solid. A star is a silver rating is pretty manageable. It gets a little more complicated when you get into the gold and then the platinum levels. Financial statements, they do pull your 990 from the IRS, but you can upload yours if you have it before they've posted it. Your audit, your budget, all the financials that you have on hand, or that you would even be required to submit for partnership, are basically what those are going to be looking for. You also have to disclose your board, the board chair, who's on your board, and leadership demographics. Again, this is tying back into the diversity and inclusion. They want to know what the breakdown is. Now, a lot of us are kind of just beginning this process, so if you don't have all that information yet, there is a decline to state option that doesn't count against you, but it's definitely be something to be working for as you are going forward. This won't preclude you if you don't have all of this right away from getting in the gold, but it's certainly easier if you have that information on hand. And if you don't, you can always go back and edit your profile. So when you get it, even if it's within the same year, go back and update. Platinum is the most complicated. They want to know about, this is more long range plans, long range planning, strategic planning, what you're trying to accomplish, what your goals are, what are you doing to make it happen, what is your capacity to actually get to where you're going, how do you think you're doing, and what's next. And then they also have asked for metrics, and they've also require some external evaluations. And I'm going to go to our report because I think if you see it, this is the front side of it, but you can see the kind of things that they're looking for. This is the forward-facing report. Let's see. So our results, when you go to put in your metrics, they have a catalog of different metric options that you can select. If you have the data that already that matches, they also give you the opportunity to create a metrics if you guys are counting or collecting information on things other than that. And the way that we approached it is we downloaded and printed off that entire catalog and went through and checked off the ones that we thought we had the metrics for already. And then we checked off a couple that secondarily that we've been planning on starting to keep track of. So we wanted to, that bumps them up in priority. And then if there's a couple, there were a couple that like, you know what, this, we do keep track of this, let's make sure and include that. So we added. So this is mainly donor stuff, social media, program numbers, but it's pretty thorough. And I think you can do up to, I want to say 20. Allie, who was our loan executive, she did the bulk of this, and she did a wonderful job. So those are those goals again. And then also, I thought this is an interesting addition. They give the agencies an opportunity to answer questions that might come from people who are looking for more information. So how are we collecting the feedback? How are we using it? How are we sharing it? What were our challenges? And then you can see all of our financials are there. So we are very pleased to have the platinum rating for Guidestar. I will point out again that that's for 21. All of these that you are able to update are only good for that year. They will revert to what the closest level that you have. So should we not have updated our metrics, then we might drop down to gold. But as soon as we add them back in, it's almost, I feel like it was like 10 minutes once we hit submit that our gold went to platinum. So the response time on this is also very good. Is there any questions about Guidestar? Okay, well, I will plug along. So next up is Charity Navigator. And for the longest time, this one was one of those where you're getting our information from the IRS, and we're going to look at your website whenever we address you, and that was it. There are now some opportunities to add your own data to where that can help raise your grades. And they do a number grade. No, I'm sorry, they do stars. They do stars. So they have 1.6 million nonprofits registered. They are all 501c3s. They do not do foundations or 501c4s. They're exclusively 501c3s. You have to generate $1 million in revenue for more than 2 years. You need to have been in existence for more than 7. and have corresponding 990s. They do have a grade level for folks that have only been doing business in the last 6 years. It's a whole lot, it's less in depth, but it can give you an idea, or give the public an idea that they're on the right track. But that's nice, because new organizations, they're always going to have higher overhead. That's just the way it is, until you make your reputation and you get people to start donating regularly. So I think that's a fair basis, 7 years. They're all located in the United States, but they can be international. 500,000 has to come from the public for the last 2 years. And you have to have 1% of your expenses go to fundraising for 3 years, and 1% of your expenses for administration over 3 years. And I don't think any of us have any trouble on the expense side of things. We work really hard to keep them low. I failed to mention too that all of the organizations generally agree on 75%. So they want to make sure that at least 75 cents of every dollar is going to programming, and the other 25% or less is going to fundraising and charities. And that's not an issue for any of the partners. I would say most of us are between like the 9 and 13 range, which is fantastic. But there is some wiggle room for different kind of organizations that just by their nature may have larger overheads. So they give you two numbers: a financial health and accountability and transparency. And then they publish those. You get an average, and then you get your star rating. And the average that's their formula. But basically, it's grades like school. 90 to 100 is 4 stars or an A, and so on. They do have a donor advisory. If for some reason folks end up there, you are not locked there forever. Again, I don't think that's going to apply to anybody that's here, because most of y'all are partners, but also most everybody does their work well. Again, they take the 990 directly from the IRS. They say that it makes it go faster, and that it's less burdensome, excuse me, for the charities. I think I would like to be able to just send it as soon as I have it, but that is their method. And they update in order of new data, and they say they publish anything that's updated the first of the following month. So when you're dealing with Charity Navigator, again, there's an identification process. You can find yourself using your EIN number. If you don't pop up right away, you can filter your results. Charity Navigator only allows one person to be the person that can manage and update your page. I think a lot of times this has been an issue, but which is why I put up that email address. If the person who used to do it is gone, or you're not sure if there used to be somebody else that's done it, you can email them and they'll tell you who the current representative is. Or you can tell them that the staff is no longer there and get the new person set up. Oh, I'm gonna go and just show you. Oh, yep, nope. Sorry. Stop share. Start share. So this is what their reporting looks like. Mission, finance, all of your financial metrics, accountability metrics. This is stuff that you can upload. You can see we got dinged there. We did have a privacy policy. It was not on the landing page, so we have updated that. We're just waiting for the new month for that to turn to a check. Like I said, this is all a work in progress. So as Charity Navigator opens up more opportunities for us to upload our own data, I think our score will get stronger, because we definitely want to get to the 4-star rating. Then again, how we're trying to do better. Revenue. So all of these reports are pretty thorough, which I think is why most people, when they're looking for data, defer to these organizations. Nope, that one. So next we have the Better Business Bureau Giving Alliance. So they do theirs based on 20 standards of charity accountability. We do have the opportunity to upload pretty much all of the information. But one thing to keep in mind is that there is a national level Better Business Bureau Giving Alliance, and then there's also a state level. So for us, we fall under Central and South Alabama. The categories are the same, but you report it to the office in Huntsville. About charities are evaluated at no charge. Their website is give.org to find your page and also to search other agencies. There is a charity seal. There is a fee to use the scale. We will tell you how much that is when we know. We are almost there, but not quite. We had well, I'll get to that in a second. So the basic 4 areas of charitable accountability is the same as we've been seeing: governance, measuring effectiveness, your finances, and your fundraising. Governance is oversight, staff, board size, meetings, compensation, and conflict of interest. Measuring effectiveness, there's a policy and report that they require. We are working on, I believe it's the effectiveness report. Program expenses, all of the ones you expect to need to be required. Again, all that stuff's pretty much in partnership applications too, so you should have those on hand. Fundraising and other information, truthful materials, annual report, website disclosures, donor privacy, cause marketing disclosure, and complaints. So when I mentioned earlier, we have discovered that the annual report data needs to match the 990, which makes sense, but the last couple of years, our fiscal year has shifted. So we're working to get on the same rotation to where when those things are published at the same time. And once that happens, then all of that one little thing that we've been knocked on will go away. So take a look at that one. Sorry. So this is Birmingham's. They have got all of the stuff checked off. The details are in these tabs. But again, pretty thorough of showing the information. But then there's just a nice little summary at the top. So on to Charity Watch. This one I included because it was mentioned so many times, and some of the websites that sounded like they were going to be more academic referred back to this. So even though there isn't really anything that anyone can do for themselves on this, it is definitely worth being aware of the gradings, especially those of us who have national affiliations. So it's a watchdog group, so they're pretty strict. And I think that's probably why they don't let agencies send them stuff. So it's 100% a third-party endeavor. And they want to show that there's effectiveness for every dollar, and they provide information to donors. They use a letter grading system. They look at what your overhead or expense for programs are, your cost of fundraising. They look at how efficient you are in other departments. And then they also look at how much it costs to raise $100. And so what they're saying is that a lot of organizations will use their entire revenue and then take the fundraising and administration lines and do the math to get that percentage, which is that APR that the state program requires, and the easy way to figure out what your percentage is. But what they have done is they only use numbers that are contributions. So no investment income, no sales proceeds, no program service revenue. It's all money that has been raised in fundraising efforts. So again, they want to evaluate efficiency, accountability, and governance, provide highly effective and ethical charities, and then they continue to redefine, as are all of them, as different issues come up that people are concerned about. One thing not to be worried about is you cannot apply. So if you're not in there, it's okay. They pretty much focus on national charities only. They only do 15 to 20 per year. So they have about 600. Of course, more than $1 million in public support. Their donors drive some of the charities that are selected. They do not look at faith-based organizations, political organizations, fraternities, clubs, college or other institutions, or such as hospitals and museums. So sounds like they're pretty much human services and social welfare. So yeah, so most of us, it's a good idea to be aware of again, Charity Watch, because some of us have national affiliations. So this is what Worldwide's looks like. Unfortunately, to see it, you have to have a subscription. Other things worth mentioning is if you are the top rated charity, you can see their reports. And another they do show compensation and assets. So, and that's a question I think a lot of us get, especially those that are attached to other national organizations, that these numbers look really big. And of course, that's not at all what we look at on a local basis, but we often have to make that distinction. While I definitely think multinational organizations deserve to be well compensated, it does sort of, because they are, their peers are Fortune 500 companies, so they should, and they have the skill set of being Fortune 500 company managers, but it does make it hard for us sometimes to show how that works on the local level. So that's pretty much what I have. I do want you to know that I have linked, I always put the sources that I use to find a lot of the data. So you definitely can look at any of these and to see pretty much what the presentation has. But I also like to be clear that I don't just know all of this stuff. It's researched. And so are there any questions?
Leslie, what have you seen has been like the most fruitful of all the different websites? Is it Guidestar because it's well known?
I personally like Guidestar the best because I feel like we have the most the greatest ability to affect our rating. Okay. So if you're doing the work and you have documentation to do that, you get the star. or you get the platinum or gold, whatever level you're working towards. The others, you kind of have to wait and
Right.
hope that the IRS releases the information in a timely way. And you hope that, again, everybody goes to them, but I like to feel like I have an impact on our rating. And the ones that we have the most impact are the ones that we have the best rating in.
Right.
But again, a work in progress, and they have to be revisited every year.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Well, I appreciate it. That was so helpful.
Thank you. And we will make this available to any of our partners that are interested and that weren't able to join us. And as always, thank you from the United Way and the whole staff for your support. And we'll see you all next time.